Okay, guys, I just wanted to talk about the performance section. I'm going to bring up an image that shows you the basic layout for the FireNFX keys, or pads rather. So you can see the performance section occupies the entire left side, and then the operations, I guess, or information would be on the other side. And in this video, I just want to talk about the performance section and the macros related to it. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the performance section, how it works, and just show you briefly. And then we'll talk about the macros that affect things about that performance, as you'll see. So when the FireNFX is first activated, any non-FPC instrument will load essentially what you see on this side here. They'll be starting from the bottom row, moving upwards 3 octaves of playable notes. The octaves will basically build from a root note outwards, and if it can hit another root note, it will show it. The root notes are in blue. Each row is 1 octave above the one below it. So in the case of what you see here, it's loading a C major scale, which means this is going to be a C, and this blue note's going to be a C. Above it will be a C 1 octave higher than this one, but this one is also 1 octave higher than this one. So essentially, this note and this note will be the same. And I'll play them so you can hear that. So the octave, well, the scale will start, and then because of the size of that scale is 7, not 8, there's an extra character, just fills it. But it starts the very next octave above this one, just so that's clear. This is the same note. Same here. That's no problem. I'm just pointing it out so you know what's going on. Now, I did say it was locked into a scale, and we'll get to that in a second. But basically, you can't hit a wrong note in quote theory, right? Meaning these are all programmed to play a specific scale, so chords and things will all be made with just these notes, and therefore, in quote theory, should sound good. But this is just any instrument that you would go to. You could play, and you could record yourself playing. Additionally, let me go back to the keys. Additionally, there is this bar across the top, which I call it the chord bar, and it'll play chords for you. And it'll play your 1 chord in the first position, your 2 chord, your 3 chord, your 4 chord, your 5 chord, etc. Okay? And all you need to do is press it, and it will build its chord based off the selected instrument and the middle row of your playing area. So this chord here is the same as pressing 1 button there. And you could do up to 7 chords. Now, if you wanted to play an inverted chord, you could hold down the Alt key and play the chord that you want to invert. So for example, if I play this chord, regular, inverted, regular, inverted. So that lets me play an inverted chord, which gives a slightly different sound to the chord. And finally, the chord bar will allow you to play 7th chords, which basically is just adding that 7th note by toggling it via this button here. When this is kind of a medium purple, it doesn't add anything to the chord. When you press it, it becomes a bright light purple, now it will add a seventh note to all these chords. That's it for the playing section. But how do you control other aspects of it? Like, for example, how would you set the scale, the velocities, the octaves, things like that? Well, that's these first two macro keys here. The first macro key, we'll talk about their functions without holding down the Alt, and then again while holding down the Alt. When not holding down the Alt, the function of the first one is to adjust the velocity. You'll see I'll keep pressing it and it'll cycle through basically 4 states: 0, 112, 120, 127, and back to 0. It just cycles through, so you can quickly tap to the desired velocity. That's the velocity that will be used when playing. If it's at 0, no sound. And thusly it works. The one next to it, that's to control the octave, the lowest octave. In other words, the octave of this row here, this first. The dimmer this light, the lower the octave. And this functions similarly to the velocity, where you just tap it 4 times and it'll go through its cycle. C1, or octave 1, octave 2, octave 3, and octave 4. So 4 being the highest. So it goes low. And then, as I mentioned before, the pad rows above it are built off of this one. So they'll always be +1 octave and +1 octave again. So using those 2 buttons will help you to find where you need to be and handle that. But if you hold Alt and press the first macro, this guy, what'll happen is it will actually change the root note. And you can't see it because it's displayed here on this tiny screen. But as I hold down Alt, now don't let go of Alt, and just keep hitting this until the note, the root note, comes up that you want to see. So I might want, let's say, F. So now it's set to F. And these keys now will be in an F major. Speaking of major, what if I don't want major? I might want minor, right? So no problem. Holding Alt and then pressing the second macro key, which is for octaves if you weren't holding Alt, but we're holding Alt, it will scroll through up here the various harmonic scales. So I can go to Dorian, and as I change, this highlighted line moves around too, as kind of a visual indicator. But that's Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, and Aeolian, which I know is minor, the same as minor. So now I've moved from C major to C minor. I'm sorry, to F minor. You could still play chords down here if you wanted to. And that does it, actually. That's how you would use the performance section. Now, if it is in FPC mode, just use it like a regular FPC. So like right here, you could see these pads, and I think I've shown this off before, but basically it mirrors my FPC. Well, it used to mirror it. It's off by 1 pad. This pad here, this red pad, well, you can't see it. I guess I moved it off the screen. Here we go. This red pad here doesn't exactly mirror this yellow one here. That's the only difference, but there's nothing assigned to it, and I got to fix that. That's on me. But my point is, it's just playable like an MPC, like an FPC. Sorry. The velocity does matter, however. That will matter. So if you wanted to put, I'm not going to say ghost hits, but maybe some lower snare hits here or there, you could lower the velocity, then higher it as needed. Yeah. So that's it for the performance section.